We're at 5 o'clock. And we have a quorum. Good evening.
Good evening.
It's a real blessing and a real honor to be able to call to order this meeting of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen for the City of Natchez. Wow, we've been through quite a year. And here we are, almost to Christmas and almost to 2024. And it is such a blessing every time we get to assemble and do things for the good of Natchez. And I just want to say that in beginning this meeting. We are also grateful to have with us Reverend Burton Mitchell of Zion Chapel, AME Church. And Reverend Mitchell, we just appreciate you and what you mean to our community. And we'd like to ask you, if you would, to please come to the podium this evening and open us with a word of prayer. And then we will follow that with our pledge.
May we bow. Eternal God, we come before you this evening with thanksgiving in our hearts. We come in the name of Jesus, remembering that he is the reason for this season. Father, we come in this season of Advent with an expectancy, Lord God, expecting you to show up in our city and continue to bless us with the blessing that we stand in need of. Father, we ask your blessing upon this meeting tonight, the mayor and the board of aldermen, Lord God. We pray that you bless the business that will come before us and continue to bless the city of Natchez during this holy season of the year. Continue to bless us individually and collectively, that your will would be done, Lord God. We just thank you, we praise you, we glorify you for being our God. For without you, we could do nothing. Father, we ask right now that you would continue to lead us and guide us every step of the way.
Yes,
This we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend. Let us join together and recite our pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. We'll ask the clerk to administer the roll call.
Alderwoman Hall. Here. Alderman Frazier.
Here.
Alderwoman Smith.
Here.
Alderwoman Irving.
Here.
Alderman Davis.
Here.
Alderman Maroney.
Here.
Mr. Mayor, all are present and accounted for.
Thank you so much. Also, under my report this evening, I have miscellaneous updates. And there are 3 updates that I want to mention now before we go too far into the meeting while certain individuals are present. I want to, first of all, I want to say we are so grateful for the inclusion of Natchez yet again on Mississippi's Freedom Trail and also on the U.S. Civil Rights Trail. Just a few months ago, we dedicated a marker in front of the historic location across from Rebels Plaza, the Dr. Banks house, and that became our first location. Well, we now are about to dedicate another site, and that is the site of the old building on North Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Street. And Mr. Carter, you're here with your wife. That is the site where back in the civil rights movement, the Deacons of Defense operated. And we are just so grateful that that will be dedicated in the new year as the site of our next monument to again be included on that Freedom Trail. Up until last year, Natchez was not included on either the Mississippi Freedom Trail or the U.S. Civil Rights Trail. And here in less than a year, with the help of a committee under the leadership of Dr. Roscoe Barnes, we are now about to dedicate the second monument. And so I just want to give a shout out and a thank you. Ms. Carter, you are definitely living history here in Mississippi and in Natchez, and we are so grateful for you. and from Ms. Carter. And we look forward to being there in just a few weeks to celebrate that momentous occasion. Also, secondly, I would like to say that this Thursday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we will dedicate another placard for the city's self-guided NAPAC City of Natchez African American History Tour. And we invite the public to come. It will be in the first block of East Franklin Street at the home of Jesse Winston. If you will recall, Mr. Winston, it's 81 East Franklin Street. Thank you, Nitha. If you'll recall, Mr. Winston at one time was the oldest living resident of Natchez, and he actually was a beloved businessman, barber here in Natchez for, I believe, over 8 decades. And so we look forward to commemorating that addition to our self-guided NAPAC African American History Tour. That will be Thursday, this Thursday, again, at the site of his home on East Franklin Street at 2 p.m. And then there are other things I'm sure that we'll say later in the meeting, but right now I also want to just share a warm congratulations and a heartfelt congratulations to soon to be Dr. Nitha Hardy. Nitha Hardy serves as my community liaison in the mayor's office. She has had my head spinning with so many events. And just today we've been to 2 schools, one yesterday reading to the kids, and she's hiding behind the column. I can't see her. She has done so much in our community now, and the short time, just 2.5 years as our community liaison. And during that time, unbeknownst to us, she was working on her PhD, and she has earned it in the area of is actually psychology and a desire to help those who suffer from mental illness and children also. And so, but we're not losing her. She's going to continue as our community liaison and also working with emergency management here in the county. And I want to go to your graduation. I know it's going to be all the way in San Antonio, but Nitha, we're very proud of you. Absolutely. Another round of applause. Positive thing. I had to get that out now because she wasn't really intending to stay for the whole meeting. So I had to say it while she was here. Now that we have said that, we've had our pledge, our roll call. Are we ready now for the minutes, Madam Clerk?
Yes, I have
All right.
2 sets of minutes. The first is request for approval, of course, pending the city attorney's review and any necessary corrections for the regular board meeting of November 28th.
Second.
We have a motion made by Alderwoman Smith, seconded by Alderman Davis. Any discussion? We'll call for the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Okay. And
Thank you.
I have a second set of minutes.
Yes,
The special called meeting for December 7th.
with the pleasure of the board. Motion made by Alderwoman Smith, seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion? We'll call for the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
We also have with us Russ Brun with Neil Schaefer. Russ has been working with us on a plan now to transform an area of our city into a Forks to Freedom corridor that would actually begin at the area where Highway 61, what I call a flyover, and Deborah Drive begins all the way to the north end of our bluff to encompass an area there that has very much to do with our history, the U.S. colored troops. I want to say I am so glad that Daryl White is here this evening, because Mr. White actually inspired the name of this project, and we have to give him credit. Forks of Freedom. And it was Mr. White who first brought me up to speed on this part of our Natchez history in my very first months as mayor, when he took me on a tour of Natchez that included touring the sites pertaining to Fort McPherson and educating me on the fact that it was former slaves who were given their freedom and enlisted as U.S. Armymen, and their first assignment was to tear down the horrible forks of the road slave market site, where some of them had been formerly held as slaves, and to take those building components and build a fort, Fort McPherson. And if that's not a Forks of Freedom story, I don't know what else is. It gives me goosebumps every time I repeat that story, Mr. White. Last year, we attempted to get federal funding through a RAISE grant, and we made it, we believe, into the top 3 in Mississippi. However, we did fail to receive the grant. Grants did go to the cities of Laurel and also the cities of Laurel and Meridian. We did not quit there. We have been working on the grant since then to be able to resubmit. And in so doing, we have studied the grants that were awarded, and we have found that the majority of the grants actually were larger in scope than the grant that we were applying for. And so we decided to increase the scope of this grant so that it would touch on more areas of our city. And so it begins at the Forks of Freedom, the Forks of Freedom corridor begins, as you can see on the map. And I'm giving some background because I just got to make sure I get this in. It starts at Devereaux Drive. It involves an improvement of that area of Devereaux Drive that is currently suffering from a reduced traffic count because traffic is being diverted from that area because of the flyover to other parts of South Natchez. We want to bring back that corridor with beautiful lighting and aesthetic improvements and signage so that people no longer are directed away from that entrance into our downtown, but rather encouraged to take it. It then takes us through the Forks of Freedom area, the heart of it being that Forks of the Road site. And I thank Kathleen Bond, who is here representing the National Historic Park and the Park Service. She has been a vital component of this planning process to incorporate that site and to improve upgrades. We then go to the Hiram Rebel site. And Norma West could not be here this evening, but I'm so grateful that Reverend Mitchell is here and others supporting the inclusion of that historic site in this corridor, because it was Hiram Rebels who actually was the first minister at Zion Chapel, the first president of Alcorn, a member of the U.S. Colored Troops, a chaplain, but also the first man of color to ever serve in the U.S. Congress. We go from there. This is the expanded scope. The Forks of Freedom story is not complete without also taking us by the site of the Proud to Take a Stand monument that so proudly stands in front of our city auditorium. And then it culminates at the northern part of the bluff, at the very area where the drill field existed for the U.S. Colored Troops. And it has been an area that has been selected as the site for our future U.S. Colored Troops monument. This is an all-encompassing improvement, and it does a lot to hit all of the bases that the grant is scored on to make sure that we have the best possible score. I would be remiss to not also thank Chesney Doyle, because Ms. Doyle is here and she has been involved in every aspect of this on a volunteer basis, helping Ms. Bond, helping our engineers at Neil Schaefer, helping Mr. Bryan, Mr. Johnson, and others. And she has been so involved with Norma West also in that Rebels Plaza project. I believe that we are about to have, by the deadline date, the best application possible. And I really think that this year, upcoming, is going to be our year. I hope I've given a good introduction. I want to hit the main points because those are the main points. We're going to now let you fill in the details, Mr. Bryant.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Board. First of all, Merry Christmas.
And Mr. Purnell, like I say, there he is. U.S. Colored Troops. Thank you, Mr. Purnell, for being here. I didn't see you walk in. I'm sorry, Russ.
That's all right. Wanted to reiterate a few things. One, that the grant application, the grant program, the RAISE grant program is very competitive. Laurel and Meridian, the two cities that were awarded funds during last year's funding cycle, I think it's important to note that Laurel was awarded funds on their third attempt. Meridian was awarded funds on their second attempt. And so that speaks to the competitive nature, that it's not a one and then let's give up. And that's also reinforced by the debriefing comments that we received from USDOT. I know that Alderman Hall sat in on that. We received, of the 8 funding criteria, we received 1 high score and we received, I believe, 5 or 6 medium scores. They urged us to try again. They urged us that high scores for all of those mediums are attainable. And they did. They said, if you do these certain things, which mainly was do a better job of telling a story in terms of transportation. So what we've got to remember is that a lot of the wonderful things that the mayor has described are important to the story of Natchez. And it's going to be important once we get to that second and third level of review. But we've got to get through that first review. We've got to tell a stronger transportation story. I noted a few of those things that we're going to do and going to address in this resubmittal in the packet that I gave you. But if you weren't able to see it, we're going to add a lot of data, more crash data, more safety data into our application. There are databases that are available this round that weren't available to the grant writing team last go round. So we'll be able to immediately add more data in that regard. We're going to improve the project's ability to connect people with places that they need to go, such as basic goods and services. If you want to flip to that exhibit, we've identified, keep going, maybe one more. There it is. We've identified a good number of places that are parks, basic goods and services, or places that are historically or culturally significant. And we intend to create a project that allows you to walk safely, improves mobility options within the project area to connect people to those locations. We also are going to take a note from the Laurel project application, which was secure testimonials from people who are important within the community, who can tell an important story to help strengthen the application. So we're going to add that element as well, and make a stronger reference to prior planning documents such as the downtown master plan, a public health study, and anything else we can connect the project to. So the project elements, the mayor did a good job of addressing those, speaking to those. I'm happy to answer any questions, but I'm also here to request that the board approve our contract to get started on building the application. It is due February 28th. Awards will be made by the end of June 27th.
Motion now?
Excuse me.
I'll entertain the motion. Alderwoman Hall has made a motion. It has been seconded by Alderwoman Smith. And now discussion. Alderman Frazier, you're recognized.
Yes, you said certain elements that was missing from this grant writing.
Right. The debriefing comments we received were that we told a compelling story, but we didn't have enough transportation related elements. And so they want to see, how does it improve the transportation network within the project area?
What What gets me is that we as a city and a county is so rich in history, and we have so many stories to tell, and Laura and the rest of those people beat us out.
Well, I think what you got to remember is it runs through US DOT, US Department of Transportation.
Okay,
And I think those stories that are rich in history and culture come into play once it reaches the Secretary of Transportation's desk.
I'm beginning to get the picture now. I understand. I think Laura got a major interstate going through it too.
That's true.
Okay.
Their
So we don't have a major
application,
interstate, so that's one of our stumbling blocks.
uh,
To me, it looked like it. Y'all can shake your head all at once, but I'm talking here. See, but that to me, that's what it looked like. We don't have the transport. What I'm saying, like Laura and them, the major, they have an interstate. Vicksburg have a major interstate. All those people, they like I said, we just lacking. On the
right.
transportation.
And their project is going to do what we're trying to do, which is create safer corridors that accommodate more than vehicular transportation, can accommodate people who are walking, biking, who are possibly physically impaired, need to get around with a motorized wheelchair,
Okay,
connecting people with places that may not have access to a vehicle.
okay.
Thank you, Alderman. Further discussion, Alderwoman Irving.
Can we go back to the original screen? I just want to touch bases because I know when we applied for this grant, it was stated, but I see it here on the map. Whereas the Angeletti House, the historical site. Let's go back to the other legend. I think it was the very first one, if you can. Go back.
It's the one that has all of the various components, and the Angeletti House is.
Okay, it's right
not
there.
now. Yes.
And so I was just looking at the legend to see, we got the part, I see that, but I also see the historical. So you said significant places, history to historical culture and significant sites. And that is one of a significant historical site.
And this is a draft. This can be revised between now and when we submit the application.
Okay,
So if there are others that we left out, we'll certainly need to have that.
Okay, and my reason for saying that because we have the hop on, hop off bus who carry lots of tourists that come to our town,
Mhm.
and they're striving to learn more about that particular site. They're interested in the Angeletti House. The kinesthetics of the building, all of that. They want to know what's going on, how did it come about. There's some markers there, but as that bus go through it, I've talked with several other people who do the tours. They have questions all the time. So I know that's a significant historical site. I know people are constantly stopping there. So that may be something that needs to be included as well. But I thought when we initially applied for it, and the reason I'm bringing this back up because they said it did not qualify or was not a part of it. So now it's there.
To connect.
So
to connect people to that location, I'm not sure a DOT-based grant could make renovations to the structure.
No, I'm not asking for renovation. I'm just saying, to be included, tell the story,
Oh, sure.
connecting. That adds more. Can't think of the term that I'm trying to say now, but that adds more to the grant.
That's right.
To have it included.
We certainly will need to tell the story
Absolutely.
of that within the grant application, and then we can add an interpretive element, interpretive sign to the
But it's a
within the
marker there.
public.
It is
right.
there. Yeah, but that
Okay.
would be great.
All right.
All right.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Alderwoman. Any further discussion? We'll call for the question. Question's been called. We will proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Thank you, Mr.
Motion
Moore.
passes.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you,
Mr.
Board.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you for
Thank you so much.
going out of your way to be here on this evening, just a few days before Christmas. And we wish you and your family a very happy holiday. Thank you. We now will go to our our department director's reports. Mr. Dollar, you are here. And all right, I've been given the old agenda. Thank you. I don't need to take your copy. Do we have another copy of the revised agenda? Okay. Okay. Gotta take notes. We're getting, thank you, Mr. Carter. I've got one. I've got one coming. I don't know how that happened. Thank you so much. Ms. Bartley, I am sorry. Ladies first, right?
Oh, yes, indeed. Ladies before,
And thank you. I have the correct agenda. That will help.
ladies before James Johnson.
And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Good evening to everyone. Good evening.
Good evening.
I just wanted to bring you up on a couple of items concerning the Natchez Transit System and the Natchez Senior Center. And the first thing I want to do is, Mayor, the leak that we had at the Senior Center on last night has been repaired, and we will be able to be in the building on tomorrow. They still have some things to do, but we have, for the most part, we do have water in the building that's not running all over the street again. So one thing about Jody, you can call him at night or early in the morning, he's going to answer.
Absolutely.
And so we are so grateful for that, and for department directors working together to make things flow smoothly. Also, not on the report, thank you for your time, and I was asked to extend appreciation to those of you that came to the Christmas party, and especially you, Mayor, and staying all for a long time, and everyone was so excited. And thank you all. I was about to say in Alderwoman Hall for the time that you all spent. You spent a long time in there, and I was asked to make certain I say to you, thank you for that.
Well, you
And
were
to say thank
feeding
you to the
us.
board. Yeah, you ate real good too. So, so now I will have my report. At the Natchez Senior Center, there are repairs and improvements being made to the senior center, in particular in the basement walls and in the swim pool area. The building is over 100 years old, and so there is moisture that's seeping itself into the outer walls. It's caused in the paint to fall off the walls in some places. Doesn't want to adhere to it anymore. So we are working with that. And also on your agenda, you will also see that there is work being done to the retaining wall outside as well. So we're hoping that all of this will be completed by the end of January in 2024. We also found and noticed something as a request and as an option for individuals. We keep receiving requests for meeting space for small gatherings, a baby shower, a senior citizen's birthday, or a small business person that needs to meet with 2 or 3 clients, but they do not have a space to sit and talk that is safe. And we had thought that it would be a really good opportunity for us if we could begin to engage some of those little small opportunities that happen on the weekend and sometimes at night. And that would be an easy way to attempt to assist elderly and disabled individuals in our communities who may need services but might not have enough money to pay for it. And this could kind of be used like matching funds. And so we want to start to look at that and to be able to do 2 great things with one option. The building is open most of the time from about 5 in the morning until 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. But we're from 8 to 5, we are in we cannot do things at that time, but we can do some things maybe otherwise. And so we wanted to look at that. Second.
Is there a motion needed for that to
It
occur?
is.
Okay, well, Alderwoman Hall, I recognize your motion. Alderwoman Irving has seconded. I think it's a great idea. It's like having another community center opportunity for our people to have a gathering space. The question's been called. We'll proceed now to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Thank you so much. And finally, not finally, but for another information item, I didn't expect to get that, so I'm so happy about that. The upstairs on the second floor, we have identified a space that could be used as an exercise space for persons 55 and older. Oh, he said that's him, my Lord. So in any way, we were going to use the basement area, but because we keep having problems in the basement, we thought if we go to the second floor that would be a better idea. We have equipment that has been given, and we just need to set the space up. And we want it to, it's not a money-making venture. I need to say that, but we want to offer healthy living, healthy lifestyle opportunities. And we want to be able to maybe get some people that might not go to the gym, but perhaps could come to the senior center. And we're looking at that as well. And we have the space to do that, we do believe.
That's great.
Yes.
Wonderful.
That'd be a pretty good idea. Wanda.
Absolutely.
And
Alderwoman Smith.
Just gonna ask, is there anything with the insurance liability? You just
What-
checked on that, and it might be covered, I don't know.
I think all of that's covered under our liability because we are an activity center. And this kind of falls under the same realm of activities. We're, not a nursing home, an activity center. And the final thing for the senior center, of course, they've got some money out there, MDOT does, and I want to get it. So you have an action item that is listed on your agenda, and this is how it reads. The executive director is requesting authorization to apply to the Mississippi Department of Transportation for the 5310 Elderly and Persons with Disabilities Grant Funds for the 24 and 25 year. And also as a part of that the mayor, the city attorney, the city clerk, and the executive director be allowed to sign the necessary documents related to the proposal. And it's a proposal. And we hope that we get it.
Second.
Alderwoman Hall has made the motion. Alderwoman Irving has seconded that motion. Discussion? Call for the question. Question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank
I'm
you.
almost done now. Some more good news. This news comes from Natchez Transit, and the department is named Natchez Transit System, but the building is called the Natchez Transit Regional Center. So Natchez Transit System is upgrading its technology on the vehicles and also in the call center. We already have technology, but it has been in place now for about 8 years, and it is becoming outdated. And so we are upgrading our technology where you can see and hear inside of a vehicle at the same time and see its movement all at the same time. And we need that in this time where, an accident could happen or somebody could get sick or whatever may happen. We just need those things. I already we've secured the funding for this. And so we're looking forward to submitting all of the information to the out so that would be something that we would do very early in January or February when they get through with the process. But I did want to kind of let you know that ahead of time.
Do we need a motion? Okay.
Okay.
Are you finished?
Also, along with that, the Regional Transportation Center, it is considered a regional center because it has to have certain elements that extend beyond Adams County connected to it. That's why the Delta bus line drops in and all of those things are there. So we are a part of the Southwest Mississippi Regional Accessible Coordinated Group. And this coordinated group are all of the persons the entities that provide transportation in a 12 county area. But Natchez Transit is the lead agency in that particular endeavor. And having said that, we thought it would be very beneficial to just say that, to allow them to have access for a meeting at the transit site or training at the transit site. And this is why you hear this coordinated group when it says offer accessible services from the facility. And that group would be open, that would be open to the Southwest Mississippi Accessible Transportation, that's just called SMART, and the Mississippi Public Transit Association, which have also sponsored about 15 or 16 conferences here. And we thought that that would be a good way to incorporate them into this regional center to help our expansion in the near future. We can talk more about that at some point if you all would like, but it's just to say that the reason I put it on here is because I want you to know that we do need to partner with these regional groups so that we can become better at what we're trying to do.
Yes.
Okay, and I wanted it on record to say so. Okay.
All right.
The final thing is they got some money for operating and administration and capital, and I want to go get that too. And having said that, those funds are called 5311 funds, and they are designed for rural areas in Mississippi or any other place as well, but they are rural area grant funds. And so the action that I'm asking for, I'm asking you to please consider a motion once again to allow the executive director authorization to apply to the Mississippi Department of Transportation for 5311, I gotta read it, Rural Areas Transportation Grant Fund for 24-25, and that the mayor, city attorney, city clerk, and the director be allowed to sign those necessary documents.
Alderman Davis has made the motion. Who seconded? Alderwoman Irving has seconded the motion. Any discussion?
I have one question.
Yes, Mr. Callaway.
5310 and 5311, that's something we do every year, right?
Yes, sir.
We're gonna be pushing the deadline on this one?
Yes, sir. This time they've started a new one, a new way of doing it. First thing is due, all of the documents are due in by February the 2nd. Normally they come in about the end of March, and usually I ask for this in maybe January, and I have January and February to get it done. But this time, since your last meeting, we had our training on that already. It's out there and they're asking. They got it closed.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing they did with it this time, it's mostly done online. Previously, it was all paper. This time, the biggest portion of it is online with a shorter time turnaround.
I just remember there was a short turnaround. I want to make sure.
It's a
we don't
short
have to
turnaround.
ask, But I think we've got time.
Mhm.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Callaway.
So as I get the documents, I can submit them to you, Attorney Callaway, as soon as I get them, whatever they may be that you need to look over.
Till
Because-
January 1.
To January 1.
Yeah. I'm escaping January 1.
We will call for the question.
Thank you.
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carried.
I want to say thank you all for the 24th time allowing me to seek these funds. I'm grateful, and on behalf of the citizens for the city of Natchez, I appreciate you.
Thank you, Ms. Bartley. Ms. Bartley, I tell you, you do an amazing job. This is one department, you know that over 70% of her funding comes from outside sources and not the taxpayers. And I mean, goodness, whether it's COVID, regardless of weather, regardless of anything, they're there providing their services and much needed transportation. And also the trolley is back, and we're excited about the trolley, and people are enjoying that. Thank you. Thank you. You know, I'm looking at our list. We have so many items, and we have people here. And if it's okay, Mr. Dollar, before we get to you, Mr. Johnston, I'd like to move to another item on down on the agenda under the city attorney's report. And this is the approval of acquisition of property for the Revels Plaza Park project. Because I'm just seeing that we may go a little long on a lot of these items. And so, Mr. Callaway, if you could, are you prepared to present that at this time?
Do the best you can, Mayor.
All right.
The board has been aware that Rebels Plaza is in the work, and originally we were going to take this as an easement and put our park on the easement, but that doesn't work with the grant funding that we're trying to get. So we need to acquire the property, and we have worked with Ms. West and the church, and they have so graciously agreed to deed the property to the city, the triangle property less the barbershop building, the white building. And you can see the map on the last page of this deed. It breaks out the barbershop building, the white building, and the triangle. And the deed simply says that the church, through its trustees, is deeding us all the area that's inside the red triangle, and that they're reserving all their oil and gas mineral rights. But this shall be forever maintained by the city of Natchez as a public memorial park for the use and benefit of the public, subject to reasonable negotiations with the city, as we may adopt and establish. And that if we fail to or abandon the memorial park or fail to maintain it as we should, then it shall revert and revest in the church. So it's kind of like we got Duncan Park. The same thing is happening with this deed. They are deeding the property so graciously to us so we can establish this park consistent with the master plan that we have for the city. If we don't, they get it back.
This is historic.
It is.
It's a big deal. And Reverend Mitchell, it wouldn't be happening if it weren't for you and for your church and for your commitment to this community, and we are so grateful. I will at this time entertain a motion.
So moved.
Alderwoman Irving has made the motion, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. And I would like to invite Reverend Mitchell, and this is very proper because this is an item on the agenda tonight, and he represents the grantor. And Reverend Mitchell, I'd like for you to please come to the podium to speak to this. I also want to say we are grateful again to Chesney Joel, who's been working on this, James Johnson, Mr. Callaway, but also Norma West. And Ms. West is out of town, but we are so grateful to all who have been involved. And also DNA has been involved in this. Mickey Howley, thank you for being here, and others. But Reverend Mitchell, you occupy a historic place in this community. Every Sunday you preach from a historic pulpit. And this is something that I'm so grateful to be a part of, being able to properly recognize the great Hiram Revels. But it wouldn't be happening if it weren't for your church, your leadership. And I want to recognize you now.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm thankful for the opportunity to work along with such great people. It seemed to be a long time in the making. Being on the project with Ms. Doyle and others for quite a while. And this made the Rebel Plaza a step closer. I'm thankful for the city and all who took part in the unveiling of the bust of Hiram Revel in September. And it just added a little bit more fuel to the fire with people recognizing Zion Chapel as the site that Hiram Revels was the first pastor in the purchase of the building in which we are in right now. I'm thankful for the opportunity to, I think we had about 30 tour stops last year. informing people from all over about the history of Zion Chapel and Hiram Rebels pastoring there at that site. It has been a great honor. I'm thankful for Mr. Dale White, who served as one of our tour guides at a period of time, who told the story of Hiram Rebel in the person of Hiram Rebel, dressed to the T for that site. And it was a big move for Zion Chapel. I'm thankful. I'm thankful for my alderwoman making that motion and Sister Hall seconding that motion that this project will go forward. And Zion Chapel is on board with the city. And you know we're on board if we're giving our property to the city. So we are on board, and we're hoping and praying that this project will come to fruition. Thank you so much.
Excited.
Yes.
Well, I want to say that as we pass this evening, this is not something that we're just going to sign and file. We do want to have a signing ceremony there on site very soon. And we also are so excited that the city now can really play an active role in making sure that that part becomes a reality. Any further discussion?
Question.
No?
I do. I just want to
Alderwoman
say, and
Irving.
I thank you, Pastor Mitchell, but I also would like to just bring about how the conversation came about with Ms. Chastity Doyle, bringing that to our attention with the downtown master plan and to include it in there. So thank you, Chastity, even for allowing me to come to the charrettes, the meetings, because as he stated, it's been a long time coming. And so I was there from the beginning, hadn't been able to come to all the meetings that you're recently having. However, I'm still in support of that taking place and to know that it's going to come to fruition. That's been a passion of all of you all for quite some time, including myself. So I just want to say thank you. Thank everyone. Thank everyone. It's truly going to be a big enhancement to the community, whereas we will have the park and all the others, the church, so that we can tell all the story about what is taking place. So thank you. And thank you, Mayor, for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Alderwoman. The question has been called. We'll proceed to a vote. Alderwoman Hall.
Aye.
Alderman Frazier.
Aye.
Alderwoman Smith.
Aye.
Alderwoman Irving.
Aye.
Alderman Davis.
Aye.
Alderman Maroney.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you so much. Thank you. We have a public hearing starting at 6 o'clock on the noise ordinance. Some of you may be here for that. Are there other items on the agenda, individuals that we don't need to have wait? I think that's it.
Mr. Johnston raised his
Let's
hand,
see.
Mr. Mayor.
Well, we're about to go to directors, but I'm saying other than our department directors, then in that case, I like to make sure our visitors aren't kept here, overly long. We will now go back to our regular agenda. Mr. Dollar, I'm excited about this. Looking forward to your presentation.
Good evening, Mayor and Board.
Good evening.
First item I've got on the agenda tonight is for the board's approval for a professional services agreement between the City of Natchez and Volker. What this would be for is the design, bidding, and construction administration on a micro seal project. And this project consists of micro seal, utility-based repairs, sealing of cracks, and then of course the striping on those select streets. These select streets that are included in this project are Main, Franklin, and the cross streets. Canal Street from the Canal Street Bridge to Madison, almost Chitto Street from the Railroad Bridge to MLK, and then Jeff Davis Boulevard would be the streets that are included in this particular service under this contract and in the service agreement.
Okay. And this is being funded through our use a special use, internet tax fee. Madam Clerk, I know y'all been working on this and you've identified that the funds are there,
That's correct.
to take care of this project. It allows us to go further than our, bond project for street renovations. We are, working toward resurfacing almost 50 streets in that project, but this then allows us to do a lot more. Volkert, I know, has worked with the city on other projects, including most recently the Silver Street project
And
and the
our,
lighting of the bridge project.
and our current overlay project.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion. Okay, Alderwoman Hall, thank you. Do I have a second? Alderman Davis has seconded the motion. We'll have now further discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Dollar. And can you give us an update on the other?
On
Street
the,
project?
on the other street project? Yes. So currently, that project, we have come to a halt at this point due to the holidays. It will resume after the first of the year. They intend on the second to third week of January to pick back up. But at this point, everything is called up to date as far as any streets that were milled and started. They have been paved. They have been in the last few days, end of last week and this week, finishing up cleaning some remaining streets, doing some small minor repairs on punch list items that we have given them. They've been working on those, but bringing everything to a close at this point, and then we will resume after the first of the year. Of course, that's weather depending and, asphalt
Okay,
plant
thank
depending.
I want to commend them on the work they did most recently. Just over the last few days, I have been able to drive Concord, and it's amazing the job they did grading down the old railroad crossing and making it safer. And also the new resurfacing through Duncan Park. So we're making progress there.
Yes.
I
Mayor,
have a
Mayor.
question
Mayor,
that
I
I,
have
yes, Alderwoman Hall, I'm sorry.
I just want the public to know that you have done sealing on Cemetery Road, correct? And
That's
we're now
correct. They have some
waiting,
crack sealing.
there's some discussion now about the, not the pot, but the.
Manholes,
Pardon?
the manhole
The
castings.
manholes, correct. Thank you. I
Okay,
just want
and
the
that
public to
is
know that.
in process. Thank you, Alderwoman
Yes,
Hall.
thank you.
I'll hold my question until after Alderman Frazier.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I had requested that you look into it, and I don't know, have you taken any action on look to it? That I've been requested that, she requested that you know exactly what I'm talking about, that little section down and for to be paid to further the city limits.
Right. Mayor, do you
Yes, a repair of that area has been scheduled, Alderman Frazier.
Okay, thank you very
It
much.
has. Thank you. And we're just waiting on the schedule for when your team gets
It'll be
to
after
it.
the first year. The
Okay.
asphalt, the local asphalt plant is currently down at this time. The reason that has
Okay,
repairs.
all right. But thank you, Alderman Frazier. So that is in process. And Alderwoman Irving, yes.
I just want to ask a question. So
Sure.
Franklin Street will be paved as well? Franklin,
Micro seal. So this
Only
this is a,
the downtown
not as
corridor.
part of our overlay project. This is a part of the, I guess get confused on the two.
yeah,
Originally, we're talking about a micro seal project, and I think they've interjected and brought into it the current overlay project that we have ongoing now. So Franklin Street will be taken care of under this micro seal project that we're speaking of.
okay.
Franklin, Maine.
Not under Franklin and Maine and the cross streets there, but not under the current overlay.
Right, and I knew it wasn't, that's why I'm asking
But
now.
only the section of Franklin. East Franklin, the renovation of East Franklin
It's
and
under
St.
the-
Catherine is included in our
Overlay.
Forks of Freedom corridor project.
Well, and East Franklin is included in the overlay, the current project.
And, oh, yes, and in our current project as well, through that area. Any other discussion?
No.
Okay, Alderman Maroney?
In the microseal project, when you've got streets such as you said, Jeff Davis Boulevard, Howard Tudor Street, both of those streets have got some particularly bad areas in there. Will they cut those out,
Yes.
re-asphalt,
So
and
that was-
seal them? or
That's
what-
correct.
what's
So
the
what we will
process
do
of that?
initially, and we've already done quite a bit of field review, but there will go in and do a field review of the areas. We'll actually line item all of those, the sizes, and they will be repaired. Base repairs, failures will be made to those areas with new asphalt. And then again, we will have the solid coating coming out of microseal will come back over all the entire street once those are done. So the base repairs will be made and crack sealing will be done on that.
And that's on all those streets?
Yes.
All the streets that you
That's
mentioned?
correct.
Okay,
And thermoplastic striping.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderwoman
I
Smith?
just want to thank you. That is a lot of work what you had to do.
It's been a tremendous
A whole lot of work. So
A lot of work.
into-
I mean, my goodness.
It's different. All awards. Thank you.
Getting
It is.
tremendous work done, and we're so grateful. I want to ask this question. Because we will be micro sealing streets, if we look at Main Street and Franklin Street, and I don't want anyone to boo me out of the room by saying this, but it is an opportunity if we could have the engineers look at traffic studies and to look to other cities that have addressed their downtown areas in such a way to create more parking and also slow down traffic and create a more pedestrian-friendly downtown. We live in an age where fewer and fewer people are learning how to parallel park. We also are living in an age where people are, and we fight it every day, Chief Green can tell you, are beginning to just ignore traffic signals, speed signs, stop signs. And we are having a speeding problem downtown, not just Main Street, but especially Franklin Street. And it's a very dangerous situation when people are getting out of their car after parallel parking, going to all that trouble trying to parallel park. And I'm surprised a door hasn't been taken off. And just recently, I was with my wife and she was busy and I said no, and she could have been hurt getting out of the car if someone was coming through so quickly. There are other cities who have gone to a strategy of creating in a one-way street like we have on Main and Franklin, one lane with diagonal parking rather than parallel parking. And it has been shown to increase the number of parking spaces, to slow down cars and create a more pedestrian-friendly environment. Now, I'm not saying that's what we have to do, and I know DNA would need to look into this. I know that the master plan actually looked into this, and some of these studies have been done in the past. But now that we are about to micro-seal those streets, and we will then have to come in and repaint them, it is, I think, a time to revisit, because the last time this was looked at, we didn't have near the activity we're having now. And at that time, we didn't have the parking problems we're having now. We are having serious parking problems. And anything that can slow down traffic and increase parking, I think we need to look into it. And so it would be my request that the engineers include that in their study and in this plan.
If that you're in the board's wishes, we certainly can do that, and that'll probably be a supplemental agreement to this.
I would
contract.
entertain that we amend the motion to include that they address parking and speed and other issues and look at alternatives to help as we go through this process. Mr. Attorney?
Somebody want to make the motion to discuss? I mean,
This would be an
It's an
amendment,
amendment to the
and
motion.
being, who made the motion? It needs to be a separate motion?
This is gonna be a whole cost issue.
Absolutely.
Get
It'll be
Okay,
totally
we'll let that
separate.
be a separate
This
motion.
needs to be separate from
Needs to be separate.
this micro seal contract. We can
Okay.
get them started on that.
And then we'll do the study later. Okay. I just wanted to make sure we got in there while we could. I will call the question on the motion on the microsil project. Okay, the question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Okay, all opposed, nay. I'll have a roll call vote. Alderwoman Hall.
Aye.
Alderman Frazier. Alderwoman Smith. Alderwoman Irving.
Aye.
Alderman Davis.
Aye.
Alderman Maroney.
May I
The
address
ayes
that?
have it, motion carries.
May I address that?
Alderman Frazier, sir.
That problem downtown parking can be addressed. What we need more is more enforcement. we need more, we should start back writing tickets and stuff. So that, like I say, we don't need stuff, we just need the department to get it. We need to start getting us some parking, the police, whoever downtown writing tickets, speeding, and like I say, we can mark these problems out, but we got speeding problems and all this parking problems. Long time ago, we had parking problems of people trying to park and speed downtown. When you got an officer down there writing tickets, believe me, you're not gonna have them speeding, and they're gonna, when they get ready to park, they're gonna run out them buildings and everything else and move them cars. So we had enforcement down there, police down there writing tickets, not just necessarily police. We can hire an officer to write tickets downtown, somebody to write tickets downtown. So that, like I say, we don't need a study. We just need more enforcement of parking spaces and speeding downtown area. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Alderman Frazier. But at this time, I will entertain a motion requesting that the engineers prepare a proposal for a study of the nature that we have just now discussed. Alderman Hall, and this is related to the microseal project, so it is fitting, being that this is a special call meeting, I want to make sure that we're following the agenda, and that is related. Am I correct, Mr. Attorney? That is correct.
Tonight, you're good with me.
Alderwoman Hall has made the motion. Do I have a second? Seconded by Alderwoman Smith. Discussion?
Yes.
Yes, Alderwoman Irving.
I also want, and I do understand that recently we did have a community member come in addressing speeding downtown. But I also would like to see us, I know there's an organization of business owners downtown, that they be a part of that as well. They need to be a part of that
Yes.
as well. I don't want to do anything about, because it's their business.
It is,
And so they need to be a part of this.
most definitely.
They need to be a part of this.
That's why I
We need
mentioned
input from them as well.
mentioned DNA, and I also want to make sure we remember Foreign Natchez, Friends of the Riverfront, who actually led us in the last administration in getting this master plan done. And I would want them fully engaged and business owners engaged. And Alderwoman Irving, I think you make an excellent point. Thank you. I'll call for the question. Question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. Alderwoman Hall.
Aye.
Alderman Frazier. Alderwoman Smith.
Aye.
Alderwoman Irving.
Aye.
Alderman Davis.
Aye.
Alderman Maroney. Guys have it. Motion carries. Next item, Mr. Dodd.
The next item, we received bids yesterday for a first piece of equipment was for a compact track loader. Here today, seeking approval from the board and recommending that we go with stripling equipment on the unit that was submitted and bid on that piece of equipment. It was for a John Deere 333G compact track loader. The total cost price on that was $112,530.61.
So
Motion made by Alderwoman Irving and seconded by Alderman Davis. With discussion?
yes,
Yes. Alderwoman Irving.
my question is, was this in the budget? Was this in
Yes.
our budget? I just want to ask, was it in the budget? Okay.
And I think Megan can verify that.
Oh,
But the item was included in the budget.
it was included in the budget.
All right. We'll call for the, sorry, Mr. Callaway.
Just note for the minutes and the record, this was the only bid we received, but it is within the allocated funds, correct?
That's correct.
All right. Well, motion has been, we've had the
You
question
said
called.
scribbling.
We'll proceed
Scribbling
to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Excited, by the way, to see the new loader and dump truck. Things are moving along. They really are. We are just a little past 6 o'clock. It is time now for us to have our public hearing on the noise ordinance.
Mayor, I've got one more item.
I'm sorry, Mr. Dollar.
So we received pricing yesterday or bids on two pieces of equipment. The first was the
Oh.
compact track loader. The second item was a backhoe.
We got to do the backhoe.
That we
I'm so
received.
sorry. I was lumped. One.
Yeah.
Do we have a motion?
So move.
Seconded. Motion made by Alderwoman Irving, seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion.
Who is the bidder? We don't.
So on that, I was going to get to that. The backhoe, it was a 320P backhoe submitted by Stribling Equipment. The cost on that unit was $151,737.71. Again, as Attorney Callaway said, they were the only bidder, but it does fall within our allocated funds set aside this year under a budget.
Call for the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Folks, Santa's on the way. We're just not letting moss grow tonight.
Thank you.
We've got to move the meeting along, and we have to have our public
Thank you.
hearing. I will now entertain a motion to recess for a moment our regular meeting, this board meeting, and enter into a public hearing for the purposes of discussing a proposed noise ordinance for the city of Natchez.
So move.
Motion has been made by Alderwoman Hall and seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion. We'll call for question. We'll now proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. We now are in a public hearing. I do have, we anticipate there may be some questions. I do have some items here that will answer, I believe, those questions. It is a 12-page ordinance, but I do have a condensed version that should have been made available to all of you members of the board. We obviously are looking to improve our noise ordinance and improve our capacity to enforce it. This has been a very subjective issue for a number of years. What is loud to one may not be loud to another. And so because we now see municipalities going to the use of decibel readers and equipment for measuring loudness, we would like to incorporate that into our ordinance as well. We have looked at ordinances in other cities, primarily the city of Columbus and the city of Ocean Springs. Both are cities that are historic, that have a lot of activity, and seem to be doing well with these ordinances. And so I just want to, first of all, go through a few talking points. There are two ways of measuring loudness, and I am not a sound expert, but I will say that we address both measurement methods in this ordinance. A and C, A weighted, C weighted, various devices, and it gets very technical, but I want to say we are dealing with both ways of measuring so that not just now, but in the future, police officers may use 1 decibel reader now or another decibel rated device later, but both are included. There are exclusions. The following are exempt: ball games, sporting events, parades, functions organized by the city, church bells, emergency vehicles, warning devices and sirens. Adams County would mainly be in that area. Visit Natchez, city-sponsored events, power tools, lawnmowers, equipment between the hours of 6:30 a.m. and 7 p.m. Associated with those those business activities, golf course lawn and maintenance activities, and city employees engaged in work. The following are shall nots, and I just want to read through these very quickly. Sound equipment that exceeds decibel limits set by ordinance. Construction noise outside of 6:30 a.m. and 7 o'clock p.m. However, written application can be made to the mayor and board of aldermen to allow these activities if certain circumstances apply. Vehicles and equipment associated with food and beverage, refrigeration and storage outside of 6:30 a.m. and 7 o'clock p.m. We don't want loud food trucks and other noisy vending activities disrupting our community. But again, permission can be requested and emergency situations are exempted. Loud vehicles, including sound equipment, vehicles that are out of repair, modified, operating in such a manner as to create loud noises. This includes spinning or squealing of tires, grating, grinding, rattling, cannot be audible beyond 30 feet. Habitual animal barking, dog barking, amplified sound equipment on public streets unless authorized by another section of the ordinance. Businesses which operate sound equipment must appoint a responsible party regarding decisions in operating sound equipment. And this is very important. There will be restrictions on outdoor entertainment. If having outdoor entertainment, you must name and provide telephone numbers of the responsible party and the manager. Those names, telephone numbers must be available, and those individuals on site upon lawful request by a City of Natchez police officer. Our police need to be able to contact those responsible individuals when a complaint has been made. And no outdoor entertainment is provided before 10 a.m. or after 11 p.m. Again, certain events, again, individuals can receive permission. And we also are wanting the police chief to retain her ability to grant special permits. I will also say that in sections 34, 31 through 33, all of that separates out the different zoned areas of our city. There is a chart that becomes the real heart of this ordinance, and it's found on page 11 of the ordinance. And it gives the hours and the sound level limits for various areas of our city. The historic district, central business district, commercial, residential, multi-unit. Some of these decibel levels are as low as 35 during certain moments, quiet times, for example, in a multi-unit facility from 10 p.m. to 10 a.m. However, it does go up in certain areas to 70 or 80 based on the location. And I would encourage everyone to become familiar with their area and what is permitted. Also, we address loudspeakers. They basically need to be inside or pointed away from adjacent properties. And there is a real important rule to follow, generally a 70-70 rule, 70 decibels at 70 feet. If you're 70 feet away and you hear above that, chances are there will be a violation, except in certain cases. No ordinance is worth its weight without penalties and enforcement. Violation of the ordinance is a misdemeanor and is punishable by a fine of not more than $1,000 or imprisonment not exceeding 90 days. I don't see anyone being imprisoned for violating this ordinance, but all ordinances have that in our ordinances as a minimum, because we just want to make sure people are in compliance. Also, that penalty can be applied each day a violation continues, because each day will be considered a separate offense. And so, for instance, if someone is ticketed or given a warning and it continues the next day, it's a separate offense. And that fine can apply each day. And so that will encourage individuals to get in compliance with the ordinance, because I would doubt that they would want to pay more than one $1,000 fine. Law enforcement, upon issuance of notice of violation, may instruct the responsible party or manager to reduce or stop all noise from sound equipment allowing them to come in compliance with the ordinance. And should a business person or manager fail to comply with this section, the business must cease all operations for the remainder of that business day. So basically, follow the law, or, there are consequences. Also, I do want to state the draft that has been posted does not contain the provision allowing the chief of police to grant permits. That's in our current ordinance. That same language we are going to recommend be placed in this revised ordinance. That has been an oversight because obviously we need to have some leeway for certain events, and that's why we have a police department and a chief of police. That is the presentation. At this time, we will invite public comment. And at the close of this public hearing, we will go back into our regular meeting, at which time the Board of Aldermen can further discuss and take whichever action it so desires. If you are here wanting to speak on behalf of this noise ordinance, we'd ask you to please be recognized, come to the podium. For the city clerk's purposes, do we have a sign-in sheet at the podium?
We do.
And we
Name
do
and
want you
address.
to state clearly your name and address for us. And then we will allow you 4 to 5 minutes. It depends on how many want to speak, but we, want to be reasonable and mindful of everyone's time. Is there anyone at this time who would like to be recognized to speak to the noise ordinance? All right. Yes, sir. Mr. Henry. If you would come sign in, state your name, and if you could stay around 4 minutes.
Mr. Mayor, Board, thank you. Let me speak. Henry Watts, and I live at 800 Lindbergh Avenue, and I've been in the real estate and home building business here about 45 years. And when I was looking at the ordinance, I was reading the new one, and then I said, well, it's bound to be an old one. And it's been in there since 1969. And a bunch of it applies even today. And the more I read into it, I found an article about, and that's the reason I'm really up here, and it involves crime. And the article says noise pollution is a direct correlation to violent crime. This is written by the Journal of Public Economics. And it says basically, and I'll say this one sentence, this paper reveals how exposure to noise pollution increases violent crime. And the crime part of it got my attention because about 2 weeks ago, about 800 yards from my house, a young man was killed on Ridgewood. And that is our 62nd murder in Natchez in the last 8 years since 2015. And on my street right there is a lot of noise, a lot of trucks, a lot of cars, a lot of motorcycles, four-wheelers that don't have tags, that nobody wears a helmet. It's clearly an illegitimate vehicle on the road. And then I read the new ordinance, and I thought about my friend Brian Calloway, how in the world he was going to prosecute and convict when it's all based on decibels and a meter reader. And by the way, I want to commend you all for this ordinance. I'm for it. And I was actually looking just for things about the automobile that I hear and see every day. And then I found out through Mr. Burke and a few other about the decibels and how to read one of those things. And you got to be a scientist to figure that out. But I'm for the noise ordinance. But The old ordinance has about half of what the new one's got in it. And as long as we, Mr. Mayor, we police that ordinance and we prosecute, it's going to be effective. But right now in front of my house, it's on a given night, a given day, loud pipes, loud mufflers, loud engines. And it clearly talks about peace and quiet in violation of that. And when I walk on that track out there, you'll hear coming from Sergeant Prentice, Sergeant Prentice, Wendy's, Walmart, it is like a drag strip. Loud noises up and down, even motorcycles, racing, literally racing. And I did see some law enforcement cars out there one day while I was there, and what the action they took, it was, I wish it'd been better. But I just wanted to tell you all that I'm glad to see this ordinance, and I hope you're going to be able to find a way to, in other words, if somebody's sitting at a red light and the engine is about to blow you out of your car, you got to roll your windows up. If I don't have a meter in my hand, I mean, how are we going to be able to prove that this guy had loud pipes, loud engine, even loud radio, boom boxes, and he's gone? I didn't even get his license tag. How are we going to police that, and how are we going to prove it? I sure hope we can.
Yes.
And that's just, but I agree with this noise leading to violence. And that's where that road rage comes from. That's where, when you're out in your yard on Sunday afternoon, which is another thing about cutting your grass, I'm not sure about that, but you get angry, you get upset.
Yeah.
And, you have grandchildren out there and you're walking dogs and stuff. And Alderman Sarah knows all about that. And they do not care. Boom boxes, Sunday afternoon, Saturday. So I just hope you and the chief can figure
Thank
something
you, Mr.
out.
Wallace.
And that's, I just want to commend you for
Thank you,
it.
Mr. Williams. Thank you so much.
Okay.
And I do want to say we do plan to equip and fully train all of our police officers in the use of decibel readers, but also the ordinance does say if it's clearly audible beyond 30 feet, that's a violation. And that does not require a decibel reader to determine if that police officer can hear that vehicle over 30 feet away, then that is a clear violation. We are out of time there. I'm so sorry, but thank you, Mr. Watts. We now will recognize if there's anyone else who would like to address the board. If there's anyone else who would like to address the board? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Come on forward, and we welcome you here tonight.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Good evening.
And good evening.
I'm W.C. Curtis. I'm one of the managers at Club Paradise on
Yes,
Franklin
Mr.
Street. I don't have a copy of the ordinance, so I had a couple of questions that a couple of people was talking to me about.
Yes.
And they were concerned that we don't have a problem with the noise ordinance. We just want to make sure that everybody understands it and that it's fairly implemented across the city. Is this an entire city ordinance, or is it just the downtown area?
It's the entire
Those
city.
are entire city.
And, you'll probably have some of these answers in the ordinance. I don't know. I didn't see it yet. But the question was, how will it be enforced? What are the decibel limit, and how far from the neighbors or other business who will complain, how many feet will it be monitored?
Yeah.
Measured from?
Yeah.
Who will measure it? Is it randomly, or is it when somebody complains?
Yeah.
And how many calls do you get before police come out and measure the noise? And how much, who decides how much the fine will be? Is it a first time offense, $1,000 and, or less? And who determines how much that's going to be? Another thing was, does this affect the entire city? And if so, certain parts, some of the nightclubs seem to be targeted. And we just want to know, like Paradise, for example, there were a borderline when we did the open cup law, that those areas weren't allowed to have the open cup. Now, are we under this law, or this will be eliminated at the borderline like we did before with the open cup law?
Mr. Curtis, you asked some very good questions. And the ordinance has been on our website for several months, but I'm going to give you a copy of mine just so that you have it. And also, I'm going to give you a copy of the summary sheet that I just referenced when we were talking. If you look on page 11, it'll give you the various areas of the city that are addressed, and it's by zone. It'll also give you the foot measurements and the decibel measurements that are allowed, along with the time periods that are allowed. And the fine is set at $1,000, but that obviously is up to the judge. Once it's up to 1,000, but the municipal judge ultimately would make, those decisions on a case-by-case basis. Whenever a complaint is made, our police are properly dispatched, they always, answer the call. And so one complaint can mean that an officer comes. However, this is to allow our officers to no longer just use some random opinion, because as I said in the beginning, what's loud to one may not be to the other. So this will be strictly by decibel readings, and that takes the subjectivity out of it. Also, I know that our officers go above and beyond to serve our public, and they would rather give a warning first. I don't think anyone here is wanting to just rush to the harshest sentence. I would be happy, though, at any time to visit with you further. Outside of the meeting, Mr. Curtis, any questions you have, I've given you, I believe, my number before.
Yes, sir.
Always feel free to call me. I'm happy to visit at any time. Alderman,
I'd like to make a suggestion to anyone that is
I'm sorry, Alderman.
potentially at risk of, if you think you might be, say you're operating a club and you think you might have an issue or have a problem with violating the noise ordinance. These are miraculous devices here, the cell phones that we got now. And there are apps out there, I know, that there are apps that will be downloaded that are decibel meters. So it's not like an expensive device that someone's got to go out and purchase. And I think if I owned the club, I would look at the ordinance, whenever it gets passed, whatever the levels are set at. I think I would maybe get myself some sort of a decibel reader and crank up my system in my club and look at if it's 70 decibels at 70 feet, I think I'd go out at 70 feet and I'd get somebody in the club to turn the sound up until, okay, we're in violation. All right, that's a 6 on the volume, whatever. Find out what the limits are on my system. All right, if I go past this number on the volume dial, and I know that, it can be more complicated than that, but I do some self-testing to see how loud my system was and what my limits are, and tell my DJ, whoever's running my sound system on Saturday night, hey, don't go past these numbers or we're going to be in violation. And I think you can do that. Then, of course, if you got a bunch of bodies in the club, that's going to absorb a lot of the sound as well. So, but I do some testing and see kind of what my stuff was putting out. And if I had a loud truck, I might tone it down and say, well, maybe I need to get these pipes fixed, or I'm going to get myself in trouble. But I do a little testing, and I don't think it takes real expensive equipment in order to do that. And I think anyone that's in that kind of situation could do themselves and the police and their neighbors a big favor by just doing a little
I got you.
testing on their own. See what you put down.
Very reasonable statement. Are we okay? Do we have sound?
Yeah. we're happy.
Okay, we're good. Okay. Thank you. Just wanted to be sure. Speaking of sound.
Mr. Kirk,
Um, I-
did you sign in?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you sign the sheet?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, I got it.
Great.
I
And we need to
figured
make,
some of the answers might be in there. I just hadn't seen
No,
it.
no,
I
no,
just,
did you sign?
in the interest of time, we got to move on.
Yeah.
But I will say you're in the B2 district, and that is in the commercial district. And there are more allowances in a commercial district than there are, for example, in a residential district. But as I said, look at those and just let us know. And do make sure you signed in for the city clerk. We need to also make sure that Mr. Watts signed in. Okay? Do we have anyone?
Have someone else.
Thank you, Mr. Curtis.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. You are recognized.
thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Curtis.
Good
Good evening. Good evening.
I basically want to make a comment to the board.
Yes, sir. If you would sign in and state for us your name and address.
My name is Floyd Newman. I live at 30 Marblestone, Natchez.
Your name again?
Floyd Newman.
Okay, Mr. Neiman.
I'm also one of the co-owners of Club Paradise.
Okay.
And I've been in Natchez running club business since 1992.
Mr. Newman, make sure you're speaking to the mic so that.
Okay,
Thanks.
let me finish signing this. Okay, like I said, I've been doing business in Natchez since 92. We ain't never had no problem. Nobody can, I was in the 200 block. And we got so many rules in Natchez, I wouldn't move here for nothing. What's gonna be walking loud, talking loud? What's gonna be next? Come on, guys. I understand, like the gentleman was talking about the noise with the cars. Out there by Walmart, that's a business district. People going through the town, you can get them a ticket too? Really? I mean, if somebody's just doing something crazy, I can understand that. But we need to kind of tone it down a bit. I'm a truck driver too. I can't bring my truck home because we got signs saying no trucks all over town. But I pay over $10,000 a year in property tax. Can't bring my truck home. Sometimes it go too far. Now, if it's bothering the neighbors, it's tearing up the neighborhood, I understand. But we need to tone it back a little bit. Not a rule for everything. We call it an ordinance. But it's a rule, $1,000 fine. Who can afford it in this day? Just right there. And the police gonna give you a ticket. But I just wanted to make that comment. Thank y'all for hearing me.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mr.
Mr.
Newman.
Newman.
Thank you very much. And I am very glad that we have certain exceptions written in, and our police can also use judgment, and they do that. They do. But Mr. Newman, thank you very much. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mr. Haywood, thank you.
Good evening.
My name is David Haywood, one of the owners of Troop Lounge. And I just have a quick question. Me and my business partner was talking about this decimal. The reading of it, would it be read with the door closed, door open?
That's a very good question with the door closed.
The door closed.
With the door closed.
Okay. Another thing, will it be a trial period to where, I say a trial, a grace period to where each business that maybe operate in that realm have a chance to get their equipment and things
Certainly.
to meet certain standards and stuff
Mr.
like
Haywood,
that?
that's a very reasonable request. This ordinance will not go into effect until 30 days after its passage. And even then, we're going to ask our police to do all they can to work with our residents and businesses. As I said, warnings can be written at first and to allow people to come into compliance, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Haywood. Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else?
Does that include us?
Well, we can have our discussion when we go back into regular session.
Okay.
So at this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn the public hearing and go back to our regular
Second.
meeting. Alderman Davis has made the motion. Alderwoman Hall has seconded the motion. Any discussion on the motion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
This is the motion to leave the public hearing and go back into regular session.
Let's leave it.
Do you have a discussion on that?
I have discussion on.
Okay, we'll entertain your discussion in just a moment. At this moment, I'll call for the question. And we'll now proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. Now, we, in order to entertain, our rules require that we have a motion on the floor to entertain discussion. And, I will entertain a motion. Alderwoman Hall.
Make a motion that we.
Alderwoman Hall is
Yes,
making
sir.
a
I
motion.
move that the ordinance to amend, establish, and revise chapter 35 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Natchez, Mississippi, regarding certain public nuisance properties and the abatement thereof be adopted.
And I would ask that you also include that the current language allowing special permitting by the chief of police will be included in this ordinance. That is something we are wanting to make sure continues. And that was an oversight in this ordinance. Thank you. So that is a part of your motion. We have a second to that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Alderwoman Smith has seconded the motion. We now have a motion on the floor. Alderman Frazier, you're recognized.
Yes. First, let me say this, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Watts, you are exactly right. I must agree with you on that. We have all these ordinances already on the book. And our only concern that I have with it is that, as you say, we're gonna have to train the police officers in the you're gonna have to be a rocket scientist to know how to read the desert, read that. So I guess all the police officers in the club are gonna walk around with a machine to monitor the desert and the noise ordinance. And the other problem that I have with it is that this noise ordinance, you done divided up into sections. It don't pertain to certain things in one side of town and the other section of town. I have a problem with that. If we're gonna do a noise ordinance, let it be for the whole city, not just one section of, this for the downtown section, this for this, this section over here. If we're gonna do it, let's do it properly. Let's have it where it's gonna affect everyone regardless of what side of town you own. There's noise ordinance for everybody. So that's what I have a problem with. And we do, like say, as Mr. Watts say, we got people out here like these cars and everything else. But here's one thing too. If I'm downtown or either riding down, if I'm riding a convertible and I got my top down, who determines how loud my music gonna be? If the police officer pull up beside me, so I'm gonna give you a ticket for a noise ordinance, a violated noise ordinance. The guy say, for what? Your music too loud. So I'm gonna determine how his music too loud when he riding in the convertible. So that's one of the things they have to be careful. But like I say, it's a tricky thing dealing with this noise ordinance. We got to be careful on how we do this noise ordinance. And I'm not against noise ordinance, but I am against certain sections and certain things in this noise ordinance. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Frazier. Alderwoman Hall.
Yes, sir. Mr. Newman, to answer your question too, it's designed for the city. It's not targeting any one section. This is a noise ordinance. We have people in neighborhoods who complain of cars driving by. Thump, 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 thump. You know what I'm talking about. All hours of the night. So it's for everybody. We're not targeting anyone. But I appreciate your concern about that. But it's not, it's for the entire city. And thank you, Mr. Haywood, for your question as well. And Mr. Watts, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Alderwoman Irving.
Okay. My concern is that it's for the entire city as well. It should be for the entire city. But I did have
May I clarify? It is for the entire city, but we have residential areas, we have commercial areas, we have business, we have industrial.
So it's section out.
And so, everything varies from a residential area to a commercial area. And I don't think you'll find an ordinance. As I said, we modeled this after other cities I don't think you would find one that didn't have some, for example, Mr. Curtis just said, I operate in a certain area. How is this treating me? Well, he's being allowed, because he's not in a residential area, a little more allowance than he would if he was in a residential area. And so I just want to say there is no noise ordinance in a city that's just going to be blanket over the whole city, because the noise ordinance has to apply to certain zones. I just want to make sure that clarification is made.
Okay. My next
Okay,
question,
Alderwoman Irving, yes.
what cities did we look at when we were?
We looked at the city of Columbus and also the city of Ocean Springs. They are cities that have, within the recent time period, addressed this issue and have seemed to do it in a progressive manner. And so we looked at them because they are cities that are also steeped in tourism, in history, but also have nightclubs, also have activities. And so we looked at that.
Nothing in New Orleans, because they really had a nightlife. I
New
that's
New
something that would
Orleans
be-
is a very, very large city, and we aren't comparable to New Orleans when it comes to.
Okay.
I don't. We have to compare Natchez to other
Okay.
cities that are closer to ours.
Outside population, and I do get that, but I was just saying that is a big nightlife that we all
Yes.
enjoy.
Yeah.
Okay, so my concern here is vehicle and equipment associated with food, beverage, refrigeration, and storage outside of 6 a.m. and 7 p.m. So all food trucks would shut down at that time at 7 p.m.
Well, the
Because-
noise associated with that in certain areas, yes. But again, for special events, for special permitting, but we do have to be mindful of, of those who want to live and reside, in our city in a peaceful manner.
My reason for asking, because that is a part of an individual's livelihood, that's being impacted when we put that time frame there. Now, I'm saying, for instance, I see a lot of food trucks and they have to have a permit. And so I see them, so that's not saying that they have to stop at this point, not after 9 p.m. if they're in a particular area.
Just running loud generators past a certain time is what is addressed.
Just generators, Mr. Mayor.
Loud equipment.
Okay.
Noise.
Noise.
So I can understand in a residential, but if they're in, let's say hypothetically speaking, and we're seeing out there in the former Walmart parking lot, is that an area where it would impact the noise, the sound?
Obviously, it depends on the decibel level, the distance. But I also want to bring back to your memory what I said in my summary at the beginning. There is a provision for special exceptions to be granted by the mayor and board of aldermen, and there's also a certain procedure now in place allowing for permitting through the police chief.
Okay.
And so, it as Alderman Frazier said, it's a tricky thing. And that's why you always want to allow, opportunity for people to reasonably enforce it.
Well, do we have a copy of that provision? I mean, so
It's
that the
in the-
public,
It's in the
it's
ordinance.
included here, the provision that you're saying that
Yes.
you make those adjustments, that's
Yes,
in
it
this
is.
ordinance as
It
well.
is. Yes.
I have one more
It
question,
is.
Mr. Mayor.
I'm sorry, I have Alderman waiting to be
Okay,
recognized. I saw Alderman Maroney's hand a minute ago, and then I'll go to Alderman Davis.
Yeah, speaking to the food trucks, I mean, I understand that food trucks have to be able to run a generator,
Mhm.
and they're gonna wanna operate, later than, say,
Abs-
7 o'clock in the evening, and they're trying to.
Absolutely.
But I will also say, I love to go to food trucks occasionally, and they got great food. But I've been to some of them that you can't even place your order. The generator is so loud, you can't hear. I mean, if it were my food truck, I would somehow find a quieter generator. It's amazing how loud some of those generators are. And I know that there are some generators that are quieter. And it's incredible how loud some of them are. And depending on where they are, I mean, I know that if there was one operating across from the Grand Hotels, for example, down on Broadway, they operate down there sometimes for some events. And I know if I were staying in that hotel and that generator was running at 10:30 at night, right across the street on Broadway, and I'm trying to go to sleep in my hotel room, I would be pretty upset. If they're out in the middle of the old Walmart parking lot out at Old Magnolia Mall, out in the middle of the parking lot, hey, who cares?
May
That's not
I-
bothering anybody. And that's why we've got different rules in different areas.
Alderman Maroney, may I also say, we do have ordinances that really limit food trucks. Food trucks can't just arbitrarily operate in the city. Officer Baldwin, I'm sorry that sometimes you get that unpleasant job that no one else wants to do, but I know Officer Baldwin has gone to people he knows personally and told them they had to shut that food truck down because food trucks who operate in the city of Natchez have to be attached to a business that has a sanctioned kitchen license through the health department. We actually very possibly have some food trucks who are operating illegally in our city. And I just want to say, let's not pass an ordinance because we're trying to protect food trucks. I'm very concerned about our brick and mortar establishments who are employing so many people and working so hard to keep their doors open. So let's not just get distracted by a discussion of food trucks tonight. That's a very, very minor issue compared to the overall issue of this noise ordinance. Alderman Maroney, you had the floor, and then I'm going to Alderman Davis. I just had to interject.
And then my other thing was agreeing with Mr. Watts, something's got to be done about vehicles, and that's going to be that's a tough job for Cal and her crew to catch and enforce vehicles, but they've got to try and find some way of getting the message out there that we're not going to put up with this anymore. I mean, I know I hear it all night sometimes where I live, and I live in the middle of downtown over by the park, and I can hear trucks and cars and motorcycles racing half the night. It's unbelievable the noise sometimes.
Yeah.
And I don't know how they're going to do it. It's going to be a monumental task, but we've got to try and make some sort of effort to catch some of these folks and shut some of that stuff down.
Yes. Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Davis, thank you for your patience.
I just had one thing. The peddler bike it fall up under special exception now.
I'm sorry?
The peddler bike, they ride down, they fall up under special exception.
Yes.
That's all I need to know.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. And he does his best to also mind the rules in the district he's in and operating in. And I know he's been very good to work with our police. And anytime he's asked to tone it down, he does. And we're grateful for that. And that's the kind of business partner we want in Natchez. Those who, when asked, will comply and will do all they can to be good neighbors. Alderman Frazier,
Yes,
I'm circling back to you.
Yes, I just have one, of course. Which is we're not talking about food, we talking about food trucks and everything. We got a gentleman in front of Cathedral School. He only opened up and that's how he make his living. He's being with that. Mr. Bradley, are we gonna be imposing on him? He has a small generator and everything, but like I say, that's how he make his living, Mr. Mike Bradley. And he don't open up till about 10, 11 o'clock. And we have cars lined up and people lined up to get food late at night because at that time of night, that is the only place in town that people can get something to eat. So they come to him and I just don't want to, we pass an ordinance. We're not trying to run people out of business. We're trying to keep people in business. And like I say, a lot of these people with these businesses, these food trucks and other stuff, that's how they make their living. And like, as I said earlier, we're not trying to run these people, but we do try to want to keep them in compliance. And I don't want to sit up here and vote on something.
Yeah.
And we closing people down.
Alderman Frazier, to your point, Mr. Bradley is a fantastic partner in our community, a fantastic business, and we have never received a single complaint on his business. Again, he is the kind of business partner that we are looking for in Natchez. We want those who who are so, mindful and respectful of their neighbors, and he definitely serves a great purpose and need in his area. The question has been called.
We didn't address the,
Alderwoman Irving, yes.
the animal barking. How are we gonna do that, Mr. Mayor?
That is actually one of the easier things, where people, and I don't mean to make light of this, but one of the problems with enforcement is when the perpetrator sees the police, they turn it down, right? Well, when dogs see the police, they actually turn it up. And it will be helpful when we're getting complaints about dog barking for there not to be a subjective, well, I say it's loud, you say it's not. No, we'll be able to tell if that dog barking is in violation of the ordinance. Does that answer your question?
Okay.
Okay. All right.
And again, I mean, because I get a lot of calls about that from my members of the community.
Yes.
That does need to be addressed.
All right. We have had, the question has been called as we do. If there is other discussion, we try to allow it, but at this point, I think we've exhausted the discussion. We will then now move to a vote. Alderwoman Paul.
Aye.
Alderman Frazier.
Aye.
Alderwoman Smith.
Aye.
Alderwoman Irving.
Aye.
Alderman Davis.
Aye.
Alderman Maroney.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you so much. And I want to thank Mr. Richard Burke, who has worked so hard, even going out to businesses and checking decibel readings and preparing this, and doing some reconnaissance work just to make sure that we're following the guidelines. Also, our city attorney for guiding us that we have to stay within acceptable levels according to national standards. I'm excited. We will have a 30-day period before this ordinance goes into effect. Is that correct, Mr. Callaway?
Has to be published, Mayor.
It
Yes,
has
sir.
to be published, and then 30 days after the publication?
No. We'll start the publication in 30 days after publication. It'll be.
Okay, 30 days. So that's actually a little more grace time, because it will take a few days for this to be published. Yes, Alderman Fraser.
We're gonna publish the whole entire ordinance.
Yes, sir.
We'll probably publish a summary and have it available. That's a lot. We
There's
would
a summary.
buy the newspaper another year's worth of Christmas bonuses if we publish all that.
I don't get no bonus.
We do have this posted on our web. Site. I'm sorry that the meeting's going a little later than expected, but we do have a lot of business still to cover. We'll do our best. So, Mr. Johnston, you are finally recognized. Ms. Bartley, aren't you glad ladies got to go first? Mr. Johnson.
Evening, Mayor and
thank you.
Board. Y'all had a copy of my report in your respective packets and available on the AV screen as well. I'll read from my report in the agenda, just gave the abridged version. The Solid Waste Systems Grant, DEQ. Staff is requesting a motion to retroactively approve the grant award totaling $25,000 for the cleaning of legal dump sites in and around the city of Natchez. This was done retroactively because the grant agreement was due back last.
Second. Motion made by Alderwoman Paul, seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion. I'll call for the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item.
The renovation of the depot funded by our Archives and History grant. Staff, with the assistance of City Clerk Megan McKenzie, has identified funds needed for the site prep and installation of the brick pavers at the depot. Noted this ad alternate was not accepted when the preservation project was awarded to Wilmar Construction Company several weeks ago. The funds identified for this project are from reimbursements received from the North Natchez Drainage Project. Staff is requesting a motion to allocate up to $75,000 from the North Natchez Drainage Project and to allow staff to work with the city's consulting architect to receive quote bids for this work.
So moved.
Motion made by Alderman Hall, seconded by Alderman Davis. These are funds left over from a federal project, and this is a perfect use for those funds. We are so excited, by the way, that Wilmar Construction has started. And we anticipate that by the spring tourism season, this will be up and running as a downtown visitor center. Do we have any further discussion? We'll call for the question. Question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item, Mr. Johnson.
I'd like to continue while discussing the depot project. Our Depot Park project, in partnership with the Downtown Natchez Alliance, is on the short list to receive a $362,000 grant from the Mississippi State Legislature this legislative session through the new Mississippi Main Street Revitalization Grant Program. The city will have the final word by April. The city is providing a $90,500 match towards the $452,500 project for surveys, final drawings, and construction of the park landscape as described in the city's downtown master plan. That was a little addition that made it the last minute.
Yes,
It's not
well-
an action item. It's just an FYI only.
All right, thank you.
Thank
And thank you
Yes, sir.
to DNA. And I mean, to make the short list is a big deal. As I said earlier, while we're discussing the depot, we are very excited to be moving forward. Next item.
Auburn Canteen Preservation 2022 Capital Improvements Bond Issue. Staff in concert with consulting architect Wakehouse and Associates is requesting a motion to approve change order number 1, reducing the contract with our general contractor from $90,900 to $85,900, a net decrease of $5,000.
What's the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Motion made by Alderwoman Irving, seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion? All the question? We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item.
Turtle Lane Drainage Improvement Project. That is one of our 3 Mississippi municipality and county water infrastructure grant programs from DEQ. Staff is requesting a motion to approve supplemental agreement number 1 to add attachment A, B, C, and D, respectively, project name and scope of work, system and process for financial management, subawarded terms and conditions for contract parties, and assurances of compliance with civil rights requirements to JKS's engineering contract due to the inadvertent omission.
Pleasure of the board. Motion made by Alderman Davis, seconded by Alderman Maroney. I'll call for question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item.
Public Outreach Liaison for Recycling. Staff is requesting a motion to enter into an independent contractor employment agreement with Ms. Tina Montanay to continue serving as the city's outreach liaison. To promote the merits of recycling, this contract will become effective July 1st, 2024 and expire December 31st, 2024. Ms. Montanay's salary will continue to be $1,000 per month, earning $12.50 per hour, working up to 20 hours per week.
So
And that-
moved.
And that is paid for by a grant.
Yes.
Not this time, no, sir. It's budgeted.
Oh, it is budgeted.
For this year, is in our budget for this
Oh,
year?
it's in our budget for this year. Okay. I know it was begun.
It
with a
has
grant.
been,
It
yes.
has.
Yes, okay.
But those
Alder-
monies.
Alderwoman
expire.
Irving has made the motion. Is there a second?
I see a second.
Okay, Alderman Davis has seconded the motion. I'll call for the question.
Call.
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item.
Cooperative Endeavor Agreement, FY19 Gulf States Regional Law Enforcement Technology Assistance Initiative with the city's U.S. Department of Justice. Dr. Stephen Mayberry, doing business as Envisage Research and Analytics, is requesting a motion to approve the Cooperative Endeavor Agreement with the City of Natchez, Adams County Board of Supervisors, and City of Vidalia, Envisage Research and Analytics, and Project NOLA that sets forth the terms and conditions for data sharing and transfer between project parties involved with this U.S. DOJ grant, in addition to the roles and responsibilities of each participant, subject to the review and approval of the city attorney.
So
Pleasure of the
moved.
board.
Second.
So moved.
Alderwoman Irving made the motion. Alderman Davis seconded. This is an important step forward in our NOLA camera grant project. I will call for the question.
Call.
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Dr. Stephen Mayberry doing business as Envisage, Research and Analytics is requesting a motion to approve addendum number 1 to the above referenced agreement that outlines the obligations of the law enforcement partners participating in this program, including to keep all collected data confidential, to participate in sponsored media campaigns, to maintain a secure mechanism for storing digital media evidence, to allow for sharing of law enforcement technology locations for the purposes of developing a centralized map, and to allow grant partners to report identifiable summary level data to the Bureau of Justice Assistance,
So
etc.
moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall, seconded by Alderman Maroney. Discussion. We'll call for the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Mr. Johnson, thank you. Thank you for your work on so many fronts. And I'm excited that we are moving forward with the crime cameras. And Dr. Mayberry has been invaluable in his assistance. And I want to also thank Chief Green. Our police chief has been very involved in this. And we are also grateful to other authorities, including Vidalia, Concordia Parish, and the Adams County Sheriff's Office. Speaking of Chief Green, you are now recognized.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I am here to ask for a motion to approve the grant that we previously applied for, approve the receipt of a grant for $100,000 from the Mississippi Office of Highway Safety. And it is to maintain the number of, it's a seatbelt grant that pays for overtime and equipment for officers to work to maintain our levels of safety for seatbelt related incidents as well as speed.
So moved.
I think that is a no-brainer. Alderwoman Hall has made the motion. Alderwoman Irving has seconded the motion. Discussion.
We're glad to see it
Yes.
happen because it needs to happen.
Thank
to
you.
protect
Thank
our-
you.
I also want to thank Debbie Hudson Germany
Yes.
for helping us with this. This is a grant that she is assisting us on, and we're very grateful to her. We will call for the question.
Oh, Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Alderwoman.
and it has no match.
And it has.
Yes, and it has no match.
It has no match.
100%.
That's right.
The question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief Green, also Chief Arrington is not here this evening. But I want to thank both of them for what they've been doing for the youth in our community, in giving away toys and spreading cheer during Christmas season. And we're just so grateful for all that you do. Thank
We
you.
did do Santa Cop last weekend, and we shopped 20 kids, and we're hoping that we'll have a chance to do fundraisers during this year so that we'll be able to take more kids shopping for Christmas next year.
Great job.
Thank
Chief.
you. Thank you.
You and your staff.
City official reports, Alderman Hall.
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Frazier.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Okay, same to you. Alderwoman Smith.
Ditto what he said.
All right. Alderwoman Irving.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Stay safe and enjoy your holiday season. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Wow, this is going to be hard to live up to when it gets my turn. Alderman Davis.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and see you next year.
Alderman Maroney.
Merry Christmas, and this Saturday, the 23rd, will be the annual Santa Claus Committee Parade, where all the Santa Claus Committee drives all over Natchez, throwing out candy to all the kids on the street. I believe, Jan, will the route be published in the Natchez Democrat? That route will be published in the Democrat, so anyone who wants to come out in their pajamas on Saturday morning and catch candy, check the route, see when they're going to be coming through your neighborhood, and go out and wave at all the fools driving around and throwing candy.
Thank you.
So that's an annual
Thank you.
tradition that is pretty neat.
Thank you. Alderman Frazier. Yes, sir.
I would like to say, I want to send out my sympathy to Mr. Levi Murray, who was one of the oldest living veterans in Adams County, who died this week at 103 years old.
Oh, no. Oh, my goodness. We just received word today that Julius Carter has also passed away. And he was also one of our surviving World War II veterans.
Mr. Mayor.
John Druetta passed away just a month ago. So our hearts are really heavy. This leaves us with only one. We've gone from July, actually just a month ago, from 4 surviving World War II veterans to now only 1, and that is Captain Jack Kerwin. Alderman Frazier, I will never forget the visit I had with Levi Murray with you at the Veterans Day Parade a year ago.
Grand Marshal.
And his nephew, Morris Murray, and I grew up together in Jackson. I'd like to this time just have a moment of silence for these families who have been affected and to remember our veterans. Amen.
Amen. Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
I would
Alderman
like to
Hall.
thank Reverend Lewis of New Beginnings for inviting the mayor and board of aldermen to participate in their neighborhood parade this past Sunday. And I am glad I attended. It was a very good thing for them to do in the neighborhood with their church.
Oh, that's great. Well, thank you so much.
Mhm.
We now will go to the city clerk for her report. You're recognized, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. First request is request for approval of the December 2023 claims docket.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Smith and seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Alderwoman Irving.
Okay. Well, I have a question, Mayor.
Yes.
Since the city is no longer receiving professional service in Watkins and Ager, and just, I mean, not the city, the county,
Mhm.
has that impacted us with the amount that we will be paying them annually? So they would just be
They
getting the
have-
60,000?
They have graciously agreed to leave the amount the same for the city.
Okay, that answers my question
Okay.
there. I see that we have 2 payments and on page 50 in the claims docket, and it's to the Mississippi Development Authority, the ladder truck. I see a payment here on page 50, and then in our small claims docket, we have it there as
It was
well.
because we only had one meeting. It's typically done the last meeting of the month, but it was missed on November, so she had to go ahead and get that December 1st payment done. And then the one in the regular docket is the one that would typically be done on the 2nd December docket.
Okay, and then my next question is on page 30, this Bulldog fire apparatus that's with the fire department, and it said travel time 6 hours, 75. Is that a service that was?
That was the delivery where it had to be driven over and I guess installed. You know, Chief Arrington would be able to better answer any questions about fire department equipment.
All right, well, that ends mine.
All right. Thank you, Alderwoman.
Thank
Any
you.
further discussion?
Call the question.
The question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Okay, next item is a request for approval of the December 2023 mini claims docket.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Davis, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Discussion. Yes, Alderwoman Irving.
Okay. And I just want to ask, just looking at it, what is the Envelo Incorporated? It's a contract service. What department is that?
I would have to pull that invoice and look at it. I couldn't answer that off the top of my head.
I just see we're paying. Okay, that is a contract service, and
Mhm.
okay.
Further discussion?
Call the question.
The question has been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Okay, next item is request for approval of the interfund loan.
What's the
So
pleasure of the
moved.
board? Alderman Davis has made the motion,
Second.
seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Discussion? We'll call for the question. We will now proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. Next item.
Next item is request for approval of the payroll transfers.
What's the
So
pleasure?
moved.
Alderman Davis has made the motion,
Second.
seconded by Alderman Maroney. Discussion? Call for the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries.
Okay.
Next item.
Request for approval of the November 2023 fire report.
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made by Alderman Hall, seconded by Alderman Davis.
Yeah.
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye. I just rushed that
Aye.
long, didn't I? I didn't allow for any discussion, but I'm calling for the question. Okay, we'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. Madam Clerk.
Okay, final item is a request to approve the lowest and best quote from Hernandez Painting for the stucco repair, priming, and painting of the retaining wall at the senior center. It's that wall on the corner of Washington and MLK. This quote was in the amount of $7,000, and this will be paid from the Public Properties Fund.
So moved.
Motion made by
Second.
Alderman Davis, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Discussion? We will call for the question.
Paul.
We will proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
And then,
The ayes have it, motion carries.
sorry.
Yes, Madam Clerk.
I left a couple of just kind of FYIs on your desks prior to the meeting. One is a publication that we are required by statute to do each year for the garbage collection, revenue and expense report. So you'll see that. It will be published on December 24th. And also your budget status reports for your review.
All right, thank you so much.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Alderwoman Irving.
could I just I want to make a motion about our budget status report. And I know
Well,
we just
we can
had-
entertain a
okay,
motion being a special call meeting. I'm so sorry.
I hold
You
it for
can-
next meeting.
Okay, all right, thank
Just
you so
hoping we
much.
Have one before the meeting.
Mr. Attorney, your report.
First matter is just the motion to enter the final disposal agreement, which has been signed by Waste Management and the city into the official minutes of the city.
With a pleasure.
Second.
Alderwoman Smith has made the motion, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Discussion?
This agreement,
Yes,
Is Waste
Alderman
Management-
Fraser.
agreement,
It's already been signed. This is just officially getting it in our minutes, which is required for our contracts.
Okay, we'll call for the question.
Paul.
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. Next item.
Mr. Mayor, the Attorney General has responded to the letter requesting guidance on what constitutes a quorum, and surprisingly, she decided not to render an opinion and left it best to our interpretation. However, she noted that to the extent the special charter and local ordinance conflict, the special charter would prevail, which is what I said in my letter. Our charter says the mayor and the aldermen constitute our council. The majority of the council constitutes a quorum, and that would include the mayor, even though he doesn't vote, which again has been addressed both in.
but you can't take any official action, Mr. Hatch. Now, y'all trying to change the form of the government, but the mayor cannot, you can have a form, but you cannot take an official action. Now, your interpretation, and I got it, we're looking at the same thing, but that's not true. A quorum consists, we're gonna have these meetings, you got to have 4 people.
As I read the law and as the Attorney General has said in his Attorney General opinions, you're wrong.
That's it, exactly. It's just an opinion. That's all it is.
Okay.
It's just an opinion. That's your opinion.
Well, if I were
That's what
you, I
your
would
opinion.
live with the charter.
Well, no,
Number-
the charter says that a quorum consists of the majority of the vote and the majority of the board, and the majority is, if you're gonna have a quorum, it consists of 4 people. It's 6 aldermen. It's 6. Not it's 6. If you're gonna do any kind of business, anything, you got to have a quorum. You got to have 4 aldermen, not 3. As you stated, and they stated, only way the mayor can do it is in case of a tie. So I don't care which way you putting it, and it's greater minds than you done did this. So your interpretation is wrong. You know, as she said, the reason why the Attorney General wouldn't expound on it, because, like you said, they left it to us, and a quorum consists of 4 people. It's
That's
6 aldermen.
not what your charter says.
The
I am
charter.
going to have to call this
The charter
to an
said the
end.
same
We
thing.
are not
It
here
said-
to be argumentative.
No, Mr. Mayor, but, no, like y'all changing the whole form of government. If people was here when long before you got here, long before anybody on this board got here, we're going by the same rules, regulations, and guidelines from 76 on up to now. So now y'all changing everything and voting the way y'all want to do it, because you want to have to cast and vote, which is wrong.
I'd ask that I'd suggest that the Attorney General's report be admitted into the minutes through motion of the.
I suggest.
Alderwoman Hall has made the motion.
Charter and everything else, that's.
Seconded by
not true.
Alderwoman Smith. We'll now have discussion on the motion.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, you
Yes,
cannot,
Alderman Frazier.
as they said, the mayor, you can be here, but you cannot take any legal action. Nothing can be done. Y'all can have a meeting all day, but you can't vote on nothing to take action on. Special charter, like I said, you can say special charter and the charter. That's not true. And I'm not going to sit here and go along with it.
Thank you, Alderman. Any further discussion? We'll
Call
call
question.
question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
Nay.
The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you. Next item, Mr. Attorney.
Just a housekeeping matter. I've been in negotiations on acquiring property rights to do the construction under the hill. That has been going on for years, as y'all know. Officially, my term will end December 31st. I think, and I'm not charging it, it would be wise if the board authorized me to continue those negotiations, finish those acquisition of property rights, so we can do the construction and we don't have to recreate the whole thing for a new.
So moved.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall,
Second.
seconded by Alderman Maroney. Discussion. We'll
Mr. Mayor?
proceed. Yes.
Yes, I would like to thank Mr. Attorney, Mr. Callaway, for his years of service to this administration and to this community. Thank him for his work ethic, for his ethics, and for his law acumen.
Thank you. Thank you. Any further discussion? We'll call for the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Discussion of Humane Society agreements on my agenda. It did not get finished in time. I have talked to Mr. Speed. Hopefully that will be ready for you soon to review, but they do have a copy of the contract to look at. The depot contract, I got a call from Mr. Latham while I was standing here getting ready for this meeting. Has been signed. It will be ready to put in your minutes in January, but that has been fully signed and executed by the parties. And finally, just a caution, aldermen should not be appearing in lower committee proceedings that may get appealed to them to review. You can't be an advocate in a lower court and then make a decision on an appeal that is directed to the board of aldermen. Just a word of caution for everybody.
Okay.
And thank you for letting me represent you. I've enjoyed it. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year, all that.
Your accolades are going to be forthcoming, But may I say, we love you and we appreciate you and we wish you every happiness and we thank you for all of the great things you have done for us and the great things you have enabled.
And thank you for the things you will continue to do in your new profession, working with Judge Blackwell as well. 'Cause
That's
you served our community well. You have
Okay.
served our community well.
And you will continue to do so, and I do hope you'll still answer my calls.
And you'll see me.
Even though I don't work for
Thank you. Well, it's been made tough for me because, gosh, no reports, but I do have a couple things I've got to say. I need to get permission for Tawana Williams, who is not here at the moment. She is in Clarksdale, Mississippi. Natchez has been invited to participate in the creation of a new location here for the Mississippi Coding Academy. And she is in Clarksdale right now celebrating the grand opening of one there.
So moved.
Alderwoman Hall has made the motion, seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion will proceed to.
Yes, I got some.
Yes. Alderman.
Why it took so, was she gone? Okay, we could have did this early.
What's that?
She went on the 18th and I just got.
It's a bit retroactively, but anyway,
Okay,
there she
yeah.
is. And she wanted to make sure everything was done
Okay.
by the book. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carried. I do want to give a report on her behalf, and I have a written report. I'll just go through it, and I'm sending some down so that they can be incorporated into the minutes. She asked me to present this in her absence. The website for workforce development is being coordinated and developed, hoping to launch it by mid to late January. The website will be www.natchesworkforce.com, where job opportunities in our area will be categorized by industry and major feature. We're so excited about it. And all energy companies in our area, for example, will be able to provide a direct link to their career job opportunity page for job seekers to apply. We're going to have that feature for all of the various industries in our community. That's a really great step forward. Also worked with the Fallon Center to apply for upgraded healthcare programming equipment by Accelerate Mississippi and Equip Mississippi and their grant program. That grant was submitted December 15th. We're hoping to receive $55,472. Also, as I said a minute ago, staff working with Bob Busick, Executive Director of the Mississippi Coding Academies, to implement a coding program next summer here at the Secra Building. This will be phase one of the development of our new Workforce Development Center at the Secra Building, working in hand with the county and also with the school board. With our support, Mr. Busick is applying to the Delta Regional Authority, and we just signed the letter today to fund the program for an approximate sum of $450,000. So that is with full force of not only Mr. Busick and his department, but also the state of Mississippi and the governor's office. So we're very grateful to have that opportunity, and we are hoping for yet again another positive report from our friends at DRA and Dr. Corey Wiggins, who has truly become a friend to us. The workforce development staff is working with the city of Natchez also on our Med Natchez campaign. We had quite a meeting today. We are working to identify individuals to help lead this effort under the umbrella of our workforce development program. And we are very close in the beginning of the year to be able to launch a new website for Med Natchez and our healthcare medical talent recruitment program. Other activities, there will be an employer roundtable meeting being held at the Natchez Convention Center on January 17th, where employers in our area, to include healthcare, advanced manufacturers, and others, will gather to discuss their workforce development needs to make sure that they are being paired with existing workforce development programs, for example, at Colin, Alcorn, Fallon Center, or new programs that need to be developed. And also the Workforce Development Facebook page, a very new page, has already reached over 1,000 followers. So follow that. We are making a lot of progress. I wish Ms. Williams was here to deliver that report in person. We are so grateful for her. Also, I'm requesting an executive session shortly to discuss the city attorney position. But also, I do have some miscellaneous items, and those miscellaneous items are we want to announce that an early Christmas present has been granted to the city. Entergy has completed now the replacement of phase 1 of our LED lighting improvement. Right at 1,000 new LED fixtures across our city, providing better illumination in the majority of our neighborhoods. We're still waiting on some remaining fixtures to come for a section on North Martin Luther King Jr. Street and a couple other isolated areas. They ran out of fixtures, but they have done so much, and we are so grateful to Entergy for all of their work. Also, in my report, I just want to say there has been so much positivity in this community. I've been able to go to schools. I've spent time with our REM program with our special needs. I've been to our departments, and I've also spent time with our public works employees and others. We have so many, from those who work at our cemetery to those who work at our golf course, to our police, our firefighters, and others, even Natchez Waterworks. I just want to say we are blessed to have so many people who give of themselves every day to make this city what it is, both public and private. And I want to thank everyone for that. We are blessed to call Natchez our home, and I wish everyone a wonderful Christmas and a happy New Year. Also, I would be remiss to say, as we celebrate Christmas, let us be mindful that we remember the reason for the season. This is my personal statement, not as mayor, but as an individual, that there is not a day I could face without Jesus. And I celebrate him every day. And may we celebrate that Christmas, not just on the 25th, but every day. May every day be a day we celebrate. I now will ask for a motion to go into a closed determination for executive session for the purpose of discussing our city attorney position.
I think that's also a personnel issue.
We did have a personnel issue. Okay. We will also be discussing a personnel issue during that executive session. I have to say this, we did not specify personnel matter executive session, or we allowed.
It's only.
I know the executive session. Okay, personnel is there. Thank you. I was looking for specifics. Thank you. We will now entertain a closed determination. For those purposes, we will report. All right, motion has been made by Alderwoman Smith, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Any discussion? We will call for the question. We will proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. We will be back shortly with a report. This will be a very short determination, so we will ask that the televised portion of this meeting continue. That service is being provided as a courtesy, and we do wish for the camera to continue. We will then give a report after the closed determination, and we will proceed from there. Thank you. All right. We are back. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn our closed determination and return to regular meeting.
So moved.
Motion made by Alderman Davis, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Any discussion? We will call for the question. We'll now proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. I will ask the attorney to deliver a report of our closed determination.
Two matters were discussed, that should whether they need to be addressed in executive session. Those are the attorney position and personnel matter, and also a personnel matter involving discipline at the police department. Both of those matters would be right to for executive session.
All right, thank you. With that said, I will entertain a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
For the discussion of those items. Alderman Davis has made the motion. Alderwoman Hall has seconded the motion. Any discussion? We'll call for the question. We'll now proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you. We will give a report after the executive session. At this time, the recorded segment of this meeting will end.